I picked those up right away. That was good.
All right, 5:11.
All right, so we have minutes from both the February meeting and the March meeting. Are there any corrections anybody has for the minutes?
I have one for the March 14th minutes. I was not at the meeting. I was preparing for the candidate forum.
Oh, that's what I get for using a template from the previous meeting. It's funny you say that because when I was looking at that, I didn't think that Zoe had been there either.
No, she
Um,
wasn't.
no, my error. I will update the attendance appropriately. I can just go back and look at the recording. Okay, thanks for pointing that out.
Mhm.
Here I was trying to give you extra credit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hearing nothing else, we'll say that the minutes stand as corrected. Let's move on to our first item of business, which in this case is our update on the crosswalk safety at Park Street at Brookdale.
Yeah, very briefly, and Dale gave me an update on this already, but Dale, you followed up with the district administration, as I understand it, regarding funding, and were advised that this is actually something funded through the police department, which I think maybe I knew at one point, but I had forgotten that during our discussion last time. So the idea of funding a crossing guard is the issue here. And so that is something that, since that's funded through the police department, we would have to take that up through city budget process, is how I understand our procedure to work. It's not something the school district funds. Is that correct, Dale?
Yeah, the way it was explained to me is the city or the school district hires and pays the crossing guards, but then they are reimbursed by the police department. And the police department approves the hiring or the number of positions.
Okay. So what I'll do is we will, working with Alder Hanero as a representative of the committee, and Alder Schaefer too. John, sorry, I keep forgetting that you're both on here now. Maybe that's something we can bring up as part of the council budget discussions for next year. But then in the meantime, I will also follow up with our public works staff to discuss the curb extension idea. That was also the committee's
Yeah,
interest.
so that was part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's my only update I had.
All right, item number 2. Input on city committee structure and what we have to say about it.
In your packet is the what we currently have in our ordinance in terms of how the committee is constituted, term of appointment, powers and duties. And I think either Alder could probably speak to what this effort entails. Lisa, did you want to talk about this, or do you want me to?
The actual appointee, I'm just a liaison.
So there's the committee of the whole, which is the council members organized differently, with the council president leading the committee of the whole. They asked several committees to discuss whether they see any opportunities for improved efficiency. These questions that were at the beginning here in the packet, in the agenda, to evaluate the liaison positions, if you have any. Obviously, several of you are here because of other committees that you serve on, Public Works Committee, the Commission on Aging, which is Ken Markart. And Ken did indicate to me, I just realized this, he must have written to me then, because now I have this information. Wonder why that didn't come up in my email when I searched. Anyway, Ken indicated that he feels it's really important to have a Commission on Aging representative, a liaison role. We have Dale here from school district, and of course that's been a very good connection to have. And we have a youth representative from in the form of Zoe Van Nest, and that position often alternates every year or so with the different members. And then of course Alder Hanero is the Planning Commission representative, and Carrie Schuffner, Public Works Committee. John, you are officially here as the council representative.
Yeah.
So those are the liaison positions. We don't have, our committee does not send a liaison to any other committee, if you will. We are heavily comprised of liaisons from other committees, but we don't have someone from here appointed to another committee like some committees do. Parks Rec.
Am I incorrect to think that this committee is larger than most other committees? Is 10 members a normative committee?
Yeah, we do have, I don't know of any committee that's larger. A 10th position was added a couple of years ago. The youth representative was added.
Mhm.
I think our former mayor championed that. So we have 10, which is a bit unwieldy in terms of an even number is a little harder to achieve quorum.
Mhm.
Well, the reason that is because you have to, so when we had 9, a quorum was 5, and now we need to have 6.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have an extra member, so theoretically, well, anyway, you know what I mean. The math is different.
Yep.
So that's one area of discussion. The second is frequency of meetings. How you feel about that, and then are there any opportunities to consolidate with similar committees? Or another committee, I should say. Is there similarity that would lend itself to consolidation? The water resources management and stormwater utility board are merging, for example.
All right, Lisa.
Thanks, Ted. Well, since Ken relayed his feedback through a message, and that's good. I don't know if Carrie provided hers, but since I'm one of the liaisons, I would say the Plan Commission liaison is not a necessary thing to have. I think we can accomplish the same coordination on anything that has a ped bike and transit effect by having someone volunteer to attend the next ped bike and transit meeting and, explain whatever it is we're seeking consultation on or input on, and maybe put those referrals first on the agenda or early in the agenda. But I really, just knowing, and for a little bit of background, the council and the committee of the whole asked these questions of the committees because our strategic plan includes an action to look for ways to consolidate some of our committee work, because we have a large number. And we want to make sure that the committee members who devote their time to these bodies are getting satisfaction from their participation and not overburdened. And we recognize that it's takes staff time to manage all these committees. And we just, came up with these 3 questions as ways to find out, is there a way we can improve upon what we're currently doing? And so I would suggest, and I don't know who the previous Plan Commission liaison was, but I would suggest that that's one position that could be eliminated. And also, Mark, I don't consider the student to be a liaison. That is an actual position on the committee.
I apologize. You are correct. And as I said that, I was feeling that way as well. I shouldn't have pointed her out that way. So I was thinking of her as a liaison to the youth in our community, but she's not a liaison in the form of what the Common Council was asking.
Yeah.
So I agree.
You know what? I should put my hand up.
John?
Yeah, I concur with my esteemed colleague. I think, I was a few years on the Plan Commission too, and I see very little sort of regular overlap between what goes on with those commissions. But just being on a Plan Commission alone, I know takes a lot of time. And to do that and be in the council and everything else, that seems to me to be the easiest position to eliminate if you're going to do something, because there's always a chance to refer. There's always an opportunity to get a liaison, somebody to come in for a particular meeting. But on a monthly basis, from what I see with these agendas, I don't see much overlap at all. So.
Tad, I'd like to get in here without trying to raise my hand because
I was about to ask if you raised it earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a need for somebody from the Plan Commission. I think the committee that we invariably get involved with is the Public Works committee. And so that would be one that either we retain that position, or whether or not this committee becomes part of the Public Works Commission. And what I was thinking of, or they change somewhat the concept of the committee, and the committee becomes a complete streets committee. Because I think we're getting a little bit narrow when we start to focus on bicycle, transit, pedestrian, when we have to realize that many of our decisions are related to automobiles or that type of transportation. So I would definitely agree we could eliminate somebody from the Plan Commission. And I agree with keeping somebody from the Committee on Aging. And is it always necessary to have an older person on the committee? Does that happen with all committees? I'll leave it at that for now.
I think Alder Haniro was nodding, but I think the answer is yes, that every committee that I can think of, well, there's a couple that don't have alderpersons. Zoning Board of Appeals and the Board of Review are two that come to mind, but those aren't policy making or policy advisory committees to the council.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any other committee in our ordinances that has that doesn't have a council representative.
Yeah, each of us are assigned 4 or 5 committees to be on, so that times 8, that's more than enough for one for every committee.
Lisa.
And to add to the discussion, at every council meeting or most council meetings, we do have a agenda item to give reports on what these various different committees that we're serving on, what they're doing. So I think it's important to have an alderperson on committees like this to bring things to the council and advocate for them whenever there is a proposal. So for instance, when the active modes plan is done, it'll be important, that can go to the council. But it's always nice to have an advocate for your action on the council.
Yep.
Other thoughts?
I would confer with Jim about there's overlap between us and Public Works or Streets.
Tom, turn your camera on.
Okay.
There you go.
I think I'm having a signal issue.
Because you keep turning sideways, that's all.
Oh no, I mean, the video goes on and off and the sound audio is being choppy.
We hear you fine and we see you.
Okay.
Thanks for providing a different angle on things.
Sure.
Let's straighten you out on this issue.
Lisa, I can't help myself. I'm sorry. What about frequency of and monthly meetings versus quarterly? Like that was a question, or every other month. Generally, our practice has been to meet. We have sought to have regular meetings so that it's on people's calendar. Sometimes we cancel a meeting if there's a lack of agenda items, or from a staffing standpoint, quite frankly, sometimes we just haven't had time to prepare for. I haven't had time to prepare to have a meaningful meeting. But we generally do try to meet monthly, second Thursday of the month. How do you feel about that?
I think how we've been doing it is fine.
Okay.
I would tend to lean more toward every other month unless there was something that was urgent, that where our input was needed more immediately, but
Okay. I can. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm late. I finally made it. I got done early.
That's okay. And I shared your perspectives that you shared with me earlier about the importance of the Commission on Aging, and the group seemed to, I didn't hear anyone who objected to that idea. So
Thank you.
Yep.
John,
Yeah, I'll personally, meet whenever you want to meet. My sense has been that about a third of the time we end up canceling, and sometimes they're very short meetings on top of that. And the sort of the bi-monthly or every 2 months, to me, might seem a better way, and call an extra meeting if you need it. But that's just a preference thought.
Lisa,
I would agree with Jim and with Alder Schaefer. I mentioned when I explained the background on this task that we want to make sure that the members all derive some sort of meaningful experience from serving on a committee. And one that comes to mind is the Conservancy Lands Committee. I had some constituents who were appointed to that, were very excited, and then didn't meet for like 3 or 4 months. And so if they went into it knowing this group meets quarterly, for example, that they'd have different expectations. But if you go into a service like this, thinking you're going to be meeting monthly, you've made the time to do it, and then you don't meet, that's not very satisfying. So I like the idea of making it clear that these are going to be, Ped Bike and Transit will meet every other month, with additional meetings as necessary. That's what the Workforce Housing Committee, when I first joined it almost a year ago, the frequency was set at quarterly. And then this calendar year, we've started meeting monthly because we have an actual task that is going to take up a lot of our time. So we're meeting monthly while we work on that particular activity.
Mhm.
So I'd be in favor of every other month.
Tad, may I ask a follow-up question for Alder Hanero? So
yeah,
so you think that it's easier for people to add a meeting to their schedule than to have an unexpectedly free evening? In other words, isn't it easier maybe to have monthly meetings, and then if you don't have to meet, you get notified, let's say a week in advance, that there won't be a meeting, and then you have a night off, versus adding a meeting seems like, to me, that might create some stress for somebody if they thought they weren't meeting so frequently. I'm just wondering, that just seems like another perspective that I would suggest, but you obviously have the constituent relations that I don't have, so.
Right. Well, I guess I feel, it's always nice to have unexpected free time, but if you've already planned around it, let's say you've got another commitment that you'd like to accept, but you don't because that's the night of my meeting and then it gets canceled, or to me, planning is what is important. And I'm trying to think of a time when there was something urgent for the Ped Bike and Transit Committee that would have required a special meeting to be scheduled. But it's obviously a group decision how frequently to meet. Some people might prefer 45-minute meetings once a month to an hour and a half every other month. But again, just thinking about the expectations that you set for people when when you post a schedule on the committee webpage, I feel like this group might be able to get away with every other month.
John?
Yeah, I concur with Alder Haniro. I think, I plan many things in the evening. We do many things. I even canceled having to go to a special event I go to monthly last Monday for Commission on Youth that never met. And so it was on the schedule, so I couldn't plan around it. And to me, just sitting home and saying, oh my God, I got a free evening. I'd much rather have something I could have planned to do rather than just, sit behind my desk. So I would much rather have it planned, added than canceled.
It's good feedback.
I would like to add that personally, I wish we had more urgency from the ped bike and transit. As a person who is utterly dependent on the pedestrian, bicycle, and transit network, this continues to be a point of contention for me. Middleton is dragging its feet. Okay, let's move ahead to the committee consolidation aspect. Do we see any opportunities for consolidation with other committees? Ken?
Yeah, have we agreed on item 2, when the frequency of the meeting is gonna be? Am I missing something here?
Are we,
What's the frequency,
Mark,
what's the frequency of the meeting in the future?
are we actually looking for agreement tonight, or are we presenting feedback to the committee of the whole?
I see this as certainly providing feedback to the Common Council as part of the strategic planning process that Alder Nairo mentioned. So certainly there's feedback to the council, but I think this exercise also has a benefit of having clear understanding amongst all the committee members as to what the role is and how you choose to work as a committee on the mission that's assigned to you. So that's kind of maybe an evasive answer because I don't really know what takeaway is.
So my leaning is, since we are not having talked about various liaison positions in item 1, we are not changing the membership of the committee tonight. I would tend to say that we are also not changing the frequency of the meeting tonight. We have this May and June, am I correct, left on our current calendar? And then
the current committee composition.
The current committee composition, is it this meeting and May's meeting, or this meeting, May's meeting, and June's meeting?
Traditionally, it's always gone through the end of April. It might go through the end of May now. Maybe Alder Nairo and John Schaefer know. Well, I don't remember now if the ordinance was changed. Usually the mayor's appointments took effect on May 1st, but the last few years, frankly, it's taken a bit longer to organize committees with council and resident appointments.
But I think it certainly doesn't go into June.
It doesn't go into June. I agree with that.
Got it.
And regarding number 1, I didn't hear anyone objecting to dropping the Plan Commission liaison role. So I guess my takeaway for that was that nobody is opposed to if the Plan Commission liaison goes away, but that's not this committee's decision. That's ultimately the council's decision.
Right.
So.
And I would add to that, yes, this June 1 is when the new appointments will take place. I think it should back up next year to May 1st to coincide with the council appointments, but that's another conversation. As for the frequency of meeting, that is something the committee can decide. And since there are some, there are a few appointees whose terms will be ending in 2024. They can, I hope you all have gotten an email from the clerk asking if you plan to continue, but that is a decision that the committee can make when it organizes with whoever the new members are going to be.
Right.
But I think the feedback, for now, the feedback to the committee of the whole could be that the committee discussed it, open to ideas, but you would let the incoming committee members make that decision.
Right, we'll do that at the next constituting meeting. All right.
That's helpful. And in terms of consolidation, any thoughts there? One of you mentioned Public Works as an overlap.
Yeah, I was the one who had mentioned Public Works. That there are very few issues that I felt that we've dealt with that didn't have some, needed some involvement of Public Works. Now, whether or not it's a good idea to roll the committees together, that I don't know. I think that would probably result in this committee being as influential as I think it should be. But that being said, everything from stop signs to vegetation encroachment involves Public Works.
Ken has his hand up.
Ken, yep,
Yeah, it seems like everything we do has to go through Public Works, so it's kind of essential that whoever's on the liaison for Public Works has a pretty understanding of what we're trying to do. And I feel that it's essential, even though they're trying to consolidate, that a member of Public Works is on this committee, because my experience in 4 years on this is everything has to go through Public Works for approval.
Lisa.
That's a great point. Both of the comments. I'm wondering if the committee wants to think about how it could be more influential on Public Works matters. Is it by having a liaison from Public Works to this committee, or by having a liaison from this committee to Public Works? And I rely on this committee to nudge Public Works towards elevating a pedestrian and bicycle and transit friendly transportation system.
I think that if we are going to have a liaison from Public Works, which I think does make sense, I think it should work the other way. Also, that we should have a liaison from this committee on Public Works. I agree with that idea.
I think that's a good suggestion to bring to the committee of the whole.
So is the implication of that then that Public Works Committee would be organized with with 7 members, but the 7th member or one of the members would be appointed by by this committee, is what you're saying? Let me say it again. So the Public Works Committee has 7 members now. Would one of them be appointed by the Ped Bike Transit Committee, or would you be proposing an 8th member of the Public Works Committee?
I think what I heard was that it could be discussed to go either way, and it should be a matter for discussion, not a
Right.
decision at this point.
No, I agree. I just was, for the minutes, I was just curious what the thought was, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at how many members on each committee, how many liaisons they have to come up with, and where the burden's gonna fall on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so whoever makes that final decision, I think, needs to weigh that.
And if it were to change, or I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. You could have one from each to the other. You could have one person who the mayor appoints to be on both committees with the preference for that person having a strong ped bike and transit experience and background. Yeah, you could have the committee appoint its person, but I think there's some value in at least having a conversation about how. And I'm trying to choose my words really carefully. So when you're very fortunate, this committee is very fortunate to have Carrie Schaffner as the liaison from Public Works. It could have been just someone with a completely different mindset. And that's why I'm thinking, given that the people who would be appointed to Ped Bike and Transit would have an affinity for Ped Bike and Transit, it might be better to change that liaison position to be someone from this committee going to serve on Public Works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember when I was chairing parks, we sent a representative to Conservancy, but it always seemed to me it should have been the other way around. Because the Conservancy people were a little more, pointed in what they wanted and passionate, and they could have and perhaps should have brought that into the parks plan instead of just the observer from parks sitting on that committee. So I think that's a great point. But I think you clearly have a issue to go forward here and discuss it.
Other feedback? Mark, do you have what you need from us to?
I think that's a good discussion, and we'll be forwarding this to the council members for their review.
All right, sounds good. Item number 3, Bike Week event planning.
It occurred to me that what I should have sent is not the link that I sent was to a blank. It was to the page that says, we want your ideas, but it wasn't a link to the ideas for last year. So I have that now displayed on the screen. These were just to give you an idea. So the issue before you is to plan for a meaningful role that Middleton, how can Middleton participate in the Madison Area Bike Week the first week of June? And we've traditionally done a commuter bike station on the corner of Old Middleton at Stonefield Road. That we've done that every day of the week, every morning from 6:30 to 8:30. We've staffed that, and we have had anywhere, depending on weather, from 25 to 75 people swing by, and quite a few of those people, because they are commuters, are repeat customers every day. So they also are people who are there also are people who choose to come to Middleton, go out of their way. They'll say they live in Southwest Madison and they bike up here to greet us and to hang out with us. And so it's been a nice way to build community amongst Madison and Middleton bicyclists. We also have done often a community bike ride. Those have been the main ways that we've participated in Madison Bike Week. There are a series of events that Madison has, other commuter stations, if you will. Commuter stations are usually sponsored by a local organization or business. Group rides, workshops, for example, in Madison, they've had learning about bicycle detection and operations at traffic signals. That was on a Sunday last year. I participated in that one. It was very interesting. Afternoon commuting stations at times too. We haven't done those. So here, Middleton Commuter Station featuring one of our local businesses here in downtown Middleton. So you get the idea. A ride to a mayoral press conference in Madison and West Side route. So a variety of activities. So the question we have for you is, what would you like to see Middleton do? We had a bike rodeo event last 2 weeks ago now, 29th of March, organized by our Parks and Rec department and the police department at Elmont School. And that was quite well attended. I was surprised how well attended it was, given that it was spring break. So we can work with local groups and maybe a bike shop to sponsor something like that again in June. So just wanted to see if you had any ideas and if anybody would like to help me work on this for the first week in June.
Could there be something, let's say, for young people, maybe get something about how to keep your bike tuned up, or getting your bike tuned up for summer bike riding?
I like that idea. Working with, for example, Wheel and Sprocket or a local business, or anybody who has bike mechanic skills to lead a workshop or lead a what's that called, a hands-on discussion.
Yeah, that's something like that is what I was thinking, that it might Wheel and Sprocket could get involved in it. But yeah, I think that would be a good it would be a good activity to get the kids involved in.
I know it's later in the school year, by the beginning of June, but I would still like to see a parent of school-age children, so not me, unfortunately, get involved with leading a bike bus. Also, that's just way too early, but people whose kids get them up that early. John.
Yeah, I kind of like the workshop, help learn how to tune up your bike idea. Certainly when I was for years with ski patrol, we would often do how to tune up your skis, to put an edge, how to wax them. And people came out in droves for those kinds of things because people love to ski. Not everybody's mechanical, and just a little bit for how to take care of what you do seems to me it could be a very, very nice service to have somebody do.
Lisa.
I like the workshop, tune-up workshop idea as well. Other things to consider, e-bikes, something something related to e-bikes, because I think that'll get more
Yeah.
people into commuting by bike. The Conservancy is open now, whereas it wasn't last year, fully, so that gives us an opportunity maybe to have some sort of group ride through the Conservancy. And I think it would be great to try to promote bicycle benefits, the bike benefits. So I don't know if there's a way to, like, at the high school or something, kids who ride their bikes get one of the bike benefits stickers for their helmets. I hope they're wearing a helmet. But maybe even set a goal of getting 3 or 4 new Middleton businesses to offer bike benefits starting that week, something like that. Oh, and one more, I noted that I looked on Visit Middleton to see what's going on that week, and there's a couple of the Mike Davis stroll and tells. I wonder if Mike or someone else would be interested in doing a roll and tell and stops along the way where kind of like the event we did last year with the mayor, but have it be public, in partnership with the Historical Society.
I know a guy who works for the city who could do that. Sitting right here on this committee.
I was also thinking having something with the active transportation plan, having some sort of an opportunity, some sort of public engagement to say, identify what you see as issues in the city, use have a dot that you put on a map of where there's a problem area or an opportunity, and have a workshop or some sort of outreach effort like that during Bike Week. Tom has his hand
He
up.
does. Tom,
I heard. Yeah, would bike safety fit in here?
Yeah, I mean, the whole having maintenance of your bicycles and making sure that routes are safe. Is there something specifically you mean, like what did you think of in terms of safety, Tom?
Signaling lights. I've seen bikes, with no lights late at night that are hard to see. I see a lot of, bikes that are being set up as memorials where apparently somebody got hit and killed. It seems like, I don't know where that should come from. I mean, I guess the police also probably would be a good resource for that.
We also have a communications manager on the city staff now, so that could be, a short written for an 8th grade audience, set of tips for being a safe bike rider.
So doing like daily tips during Middleton Bike Week, basically.
And tips, have information available in the week leading up to it too.
I like the idea. Maybe with the promote bicycle benefits, maybe there could be some sort of community challenge. Inviting and encouraging people to get their businesses that they like to frequent to sign up, and somehow leveraging customer bases for these businesses to provide feedback to their businesses, to have them be ambassadors for that program. Just thinking out loud here.
That would be a great challenge to do district by district and have the older people involved.
I like that idea.
Like we all have to bring one. We have to bring one business.
Well, the only thing that's unfair about that is some alders have less
Yeah.
commercial
I
area.
have about 100 businesses.
Yeah, John, you should have it easy then.
I know. I'll let Lisa come in the district and take a few away.
Well, districts 8 and 2 in particular would be
Yeah.
pretty limited with and 7.
No.
So
Do you know of any organizations that use bike riding as some type of a fundraiser? I know that, years ago, I forget what the organization was, but they participated in this at the Middleton pool. And what you did is you got people to commit to donate so much for every lap you swam at the pool. Now, I don't know if there are any organizations that are doing anything right now uh, in that type of activity. But that could certainly be something to look at and something that could be then advertised.
I believe I've seen things like that at the brewery with the bicycle club or them sponsoring people who've come in for bike rides. And then every mile ridden, you get donors and stuff. I know it's been done. I don't know who's done it.
Yes, Badger Challenge does the ride in
Yeah,
September,
okay.
for example.
Yeah. Tom's hand's still up.
Oh, wow, this
Oh.
is,
Sorry,
I kept wondering why no one wants to call on you.
they don't like me.
the bicycle,
They don't like me, sorry,
oh.
but it's my mistake. I forgot to put it down.
You know,
Um, let's see, reaction.
The bike benefits website has look at this reference, Bloom Bake Shop. They haven't been there for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So obviously that's I can contact them and let them know that that's a little out of date. But these are the people who participate, the businesses that participate. So obviously
mhm.
quite a few here, well over 100 in the Madison area, and only 4 in Middleton if you don't count Bloom Bake Shop. So I like that challenge idea, Lisa.
We could all bike to Clausen's and just go in to get chocolate croissants, but make sure they know they need more bike racks out front.
I also thought of an opportunity to publicize during that week our new bicycle design standards and parking requirements in our zoning ordinance. You know, that's another way that could just be one of our communications that we put out as part of our bike week. Lisa, you need to
Martha-
introduce us to your friend, your assistant. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the meeting, but
Sorry, this is Fredo. Oh, he's my diabetic rescue Westie.
okay. I saw ears, so I had to point it
Getting
out.
hungry.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Ted?
I
Or
Wasn't
maybe
me.
something else. Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
it was me. Now I got to remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Jim.
That's okay. Oh, I know what it was. If we do have what is it, a communications director now for the
Right.
city? Could they write up a couple articles for the paper and get those published in the paper like 2 weeks ahead of time, 1 week ahead of time, detailing a lot of this information?
Okay. It's a good idea. Oh, here we go. This is a better list. The way bicycle benefits works, I guess we didn't explain what that is. It's you get a sticker put on your helmet. I think the stickers are they $5? I can't remember what they were. It's a nominal amount. You get on your helmet, and then you get benefits at various districts, at various businesses, whether it's 10% off is a pretty common discount, or $1 off a pizza here, or 50 cents off a coffee. So it's up to the business how they want to participate once they see that sticker. That's the background on it. Well, then my other question is there anybody who would be willing to help me with this? I want to acknowledge Tad's comment earlier, and we have been spread thin with ped bike transit for many years, and I wish it wasn't like that. But we are making progress, and we have a great group of bicycle advocates in the city, both on this committee and in other forums. And I think we have been making progress. We could obviously make a lot more progress. So it would be helpful to have help. I'll just
I'm in.
throw that
Give me
out.
the insurance waiver.
Oh. All right, you'll help with planning. That's great. Well, also, I'll write up this list. It's a great list. I appreciate the brainstorming. This is exactly what I was looking for. We have about 7 weeks to prepare. And that's plenty of time. They will plan to publicize they plan to publicize, I think, in May. Yeah, they'll unveil the event list in May. So in the next few weeks, I want to work to get some of these things together, give them a list so that when it goes live, we're part of that list. So thank you for your ideas. That's all I had, Tad.
So no updates. Do we have any future agenda items we want to request now?
Yeah, we have several that are out there from the last 2 meetings that we haven't gotten to yet.
All right, then we'll hold off on those until we can get to our next set. Sorry, what were you? I
Yeah,
cut you
okay,
off.
hold off on, you mean getting on adding to
Yeah,
the list, you mean? Okay, okay.
It sounds like you're saying we have a lot right now.
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge that we have requests from a couple members for items. And
Okay.
we haven't gotten to them yet. For example, the plowing policy is one that Kirsten has brought up, and Alder Hanero brought one up a month or 2 ago as well. So it would have been 2
Yes.
months ago, I guess. So
And that you jinxed when you said it in March, when you said it looked like it was done,
oh, with the plowing, yeah.
and then it snowed twice more.
So, but I mean, if there's something else on Branch Streets, so one of you was asking about Branch Street too. So we have items. If there's anything else, or if there's events that you wish to announce, certainly this is the time to bring it up. But I'm not looking for anything else. I have things I'm working on.
Right.
So
Speaking of which, the active transportation plan, that we'll be discussing that at the next meeting.
yeah, that's one of those things that I've not had much work on in
right.
the last couple of months. So that is a high priority. That with the bike week planning. We have our zoning ordinance that's in need of some reasonably minor band-aids, but there's a number of things I'm working on with that. Both, well, I won't get into my work schedule right now, but I have had some things that are pretty pressing. But yes, active transportation is high on the list.
All right.
And I will get, I guess, as an update, I will tell you that the Cayuga connector, we have an agreement with for design engineering with Strand Associates. That's going to the council this coming Tuesday. It would have been at the last meeting, but the finance committee wasn't able to have a quorum, so that's why it got postponed. But they've already essentially started laying the groundwork for their work by calling Diggers Hotline, and they're raring to go. So that's good news on that front.
All right. Well, our agenda is complete, so we are adjourned.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Thank
like,
you.
like the dog, I'm hungry. I'm going for food.
Yeah, me too.
So all committee members should anticipate another meeting on May 9th. It would be.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
that's our next meeting. Okay,
All right.
thank
Bye,
you.
Sounds
everyone.
good.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Bye.